Hey, what's going on, guys? Flick here, and welcome back to some more FIFA 17 related content. Today I'll be going over my initial thoughts for the FIFA 17 demo, which if you guys are not aware, it did come out yesterday from when this video was released. In the background, you'll see some gameplay from the match I felt like was the most entertaining out of the games I did play, both in terms of how I played personally and how the CPU did play. It was an end-to-end game, and it did result in a pretty exciting finish in my personal opinion. But in today's video, I'll be talking over what I feel like is the same and what I feel is different compared to past FIFAs, particularly the offline play in FIFA 16, and how this FIFA 17 demo does stack up. Just keep in mind, guys, that this is not the full release of the game, so the gameplay could change a little bit, or it could change substantially between now and when the full game is released. So just keep that in mind as I go over the different thoughts that I do have. And the first one that I have in what I feel like is different is the graphics. And I'm not a big guy when it comes to graphics. For me, the most important factor is the entertainment value and how the gameplay is. But in terms of the graphics, man, it is such a substantial improvement over how FIFA 16 was. And even compared to when I first started YouTube in FIFA 13, the improvements that EA have made year after year is just incredible. And the jump between FIFA 16 and FIFA 17, this Frostbite engine is legit. And you guys saw at the start of the video when we had the cutscenes going into the match, Kingsley Coman looks just so realistic. And even in the journey and some of the cutscenes in that, man, it is incredible what they've been able to do, and they've really made the most out of this Frostbite engine. I can't wait to see what future FIFAs do look like as they do look to improve. But the next thing I do have on my different list is the set pieces. And if you guys are not aware, it's been a total revamp over the set pieces, whether that is free kicks, corner kicks, or even penalty kicks, which you guys will see at the end of this video because we go into a little bit of a penalty kick shootout, which should be entertaining for you guys. And my thoughts are mixed on the set pieces, particularly the penalty kicks, because I feel like it's very luck-based, and even though I haven't done necessarily bad on my penalty kicks, I've converted on most, and my chances have been different compared to how I do my penalty kicks in FIFA 16, because you guys know I pretty much every time I just go up and a little bit over to the right, and it seems to go in most of the times, except for that one stretch where things just didn't seem to work out for me. But in FIFA 17, in the demo, penalty kicks are a lot different, and they take some more skill, but at the same time, I haven't been able to differentiate whether it's going to be a good penalty kick. Like, as soon as you set it up in FIFA 16, you know that penalty kick's going to go, and that's going to go in the top right corner. I haven't been able to get that from this demo, and that worries me a little bit. I hope more information on the penalty kicks and set pieces does come out as the full game is released, because I'd love more information. You know, the game and the demo goes into it a little bit, but I'd like to see some more, and that's one thing I think EA can look to improve on as the full game is released. But on to the next thing on the different list is the passing, and if FIFA 16 was an improvement on passing compared to previous FIFAs, FIFA 17 is just another step ahead, because the way forward and the way to success really in this game is the quick triangle passing. If you just do that all the way up the pitch and then be patient in the last third of the enemy's area or the opponent's area, man, you can get a lot of chances throughout the match. Because if you're just very patient with your passing, you can see here on a couple of back heels, I'm not in a hurry necessarily. LT, RT dribbling, that seems to be super effective in this FIFA. If you're just patient with your passing, you'll create chances, and you will get gaps in between the defense, which was still the case in FIFA 16, don't get me wrong, but I feel like you were able to just run down the wing, cut inside, and create chances that way, and that doesn't seem to be the case so far in the demo, at least for me. Which moves me on to my next point, and that's the skill moves. And the 4-star and 5-star skill moves don't seem to be too effective, at least in my personal experience. Rather, the simpler ones are the ones that seem to provide a lot more opportunities. The ball rolls, the step overs, the body feints just seem to work so well, and the CPU seem to be baited on those kind of chances, whereas roulettes, Burba spins, the CPU just seemed to read it like a book, and they did not seem to work out too well for me. But there you can see is something that I feel is one of the substantial differences in the gameplay for the demo, and that is through balls. It's great to switch the play from one wing to the other if you see a big gap in the defense, whether it's the fullback going a little bit more centrally or whether they're out of position or just missing an action in general. If you do an LBY to switch the play, those seem to work out and they seem to be extremely effective. However, the LBYs that we currently seem to know in FIFA 16, where you just play an LBY to your quick and pacey striker, that doesn't seem to work out. Rather, it seems to be the ground passes and the ground through balls that seem to be effective in the demo, as you can see right here, as we get our first goal with Thiago, and we're doing the dab celebration. Didn't even know that was the button control to do it, because I was trying to do the damn Daniel. I think it's LB and Y on the Xbox, but that's the dab celebration now, and I'm hoping the damn Daniel's still in there somewhere. But you know, I think that's gonna be one of the most overused celebrations in FIFA 17. It is just ridiculous how overused the dab is going to be. It's a nice celebration, but moving on with the list, what else we got here? We got the pace, and it's still effective, but in a different way in my opinion. It is still very effective for your wingers in terms of using a little bit of LT-RT dribbling, waiting for the defender to bite, and then just using your pace to get by that defender. For me, it was when I was playing with Manchester City, and Leroy Sané on the right wing seemed to be one of the best examples of that for me. You know, I just held it up with the LT-RT dribbling, the defender would bite, and then I would just use a quick touch to get by him, and he would have him for pace every single time. Whereas, like, in FIFA 16, where pace would be a factor for your striker, you could play a LBY or a ground through ball in between the gap of the defense, the striker would get there probably 9 times out of 10, and you would get a chance in front of goal. That doesn't seem to be the case in the demo. It seems like the CPU is much more aware of those kind of chances, and they're able to track back and support their other center backs. And those chances didn't seem to come to fruition for me, at least in the demo so far. So generally speaking, pace is effective on the wings, and it's still effective when you use those LBY passes to get it over there. But in terms of playing a through ball to your striker, it doesn't seem to be a big factor in this case. Last thing I do have on the things that are different, since we are about at the halfway mark in the 55th minute or so, is the shielding. And that seems to be a major factor in how the CPU does play, specifically when you play against those big strikers. For me, it was against Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Of course, he's going to use his strength to his advantage, and that was still the case in FIFA 16, but FIFA 17 takes it to another level. And even inside the area, inside the 18-yard box, when a lot of times the striker would kind of panic and try to shoot and do one of those 180 shots, which were way more effective than they should have been in FIFA 16. In this case and in the demo, he was shielding the ball, and you just couldn't seem to get the ball off him, and then eventually he would do a little turn, he would put it in the back of the net. And it was a little bit frustrating, I'm not going to lie, because it was basically impossible to get that ball off him unless you brought a second defender and tried to close him down, which by the time you did that, he would usually have the shot off. But it could be a little bit frustrating as we get into the full release, but I like how strikers play a little bit more to their strengths, because Zlatan, the way you're going to use him is for his strength, whether that be on headers, whether that be on shielding the ball, and it's good to see strikers use that a little bit more, and a little bit more diversity in the gameplay in terms of how the CPU does play, which is a big point of emphasis for me, because there's been a lack of that in the last couple of FIFAs, and that's something I will touch on in a little bit here, because the team identity, I know we're just at the demo and we're only have access to a couple of teams, but I didn't see a major gap in how the teams did play as a whole. They take pretty much the same tactics getting forward. If it was 0-0, they would play very cautiously, and they would just kind of pass the ball around, try to dominate the possession. If you could get that early jump on them and hold over half of the possession at the start of the match, then it seemed to dictate how the matches did play. And if you could get that first goal, a lot of times you would win the matches. That was the case on Legendary in FIFA 16, which I don't think I've mentioned in the video yet. We are playing on Legendary in this gameplay. You guys saw it at the start, but yeah, I decided to go with Legendary. Played a couple of games of World Class. That was a bit too easy for me. So I jumped it up to Legendary, and usually I haven't been able to handle Legendary in past demos for past FIFAs, because it was just too much. Like, the style play was too difficult for me to adapt to, and I would start most of my career modes on World Class, and I might do that in the Southampton career mode in just a couple of weeks. But honestly, I feel like I can handle Legendary in the demo, so I might go ahead and challenge myself and do Legendary with the Southampton career mode. But I know we're getting short on time here in the last couple of minutes, so I will jump forward to my next thing that I feel is quite similar, and that is the cross-body shots. They seem to be incredibly effective in the demo. They were overpowered, in my opinion, for FIFA 16. If you just lined up your cross-body shot and got the angles right, they would go in, and you would just know as soon as it left your boot. And that has been the case in the demo so far. Try out those long shots, and a lot of times, if you can get the players like Kevin De Bruyne and just shoot from outside the area, they're going to get on target, and a lot of times the keeper's not even going to be able to get to them. Sometimes not even move, which is frustrating to say the least. Next thing that is also a bit frustrating is the WTF moments. For me, it's been mostly on the CPU side of things. Like, I just question what the CPU is doing, why they're doing what they're doing. even when they're down 1-0 in a game, they would just pass the ball around the back and kind of stay in their own half of the area, which makes no sense to me. Like, I get being patient and waiting for the right chances, but when you're down in a game, you have to go out and try to get goals, and a lot of times the CPU wouldn't go out and try to do that, which was frustrating to say the least, because that was a major problem in FIFA 16 in my opinion. Like, you would get a 1-0 lead, and pretty much after you got your 1-0 lead, you would win 9 times out of 10 because the CPU would just completely change how they did play. But in this Chelsea game, I felt like it was a little bit better, but in a lot of the other matches I did play against Manchester United, I played a lot of matches against Chelsea, I played quite a few. But in this game in particular, it was an end-to-end match, which is why I decided to include it for you guys. But that is the match coming to an end. I decided to go straight into penalty kicks so you guys can see one of the new features and kind of see what I was talking about. As you can see from the stats, we did dominate in the possession. So overall, I felt like I played a good match, but I will be ending off my portion of the episode here and leave you guys with the penalty kicks. Hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the FIFA 17 demo. If you did, go ahead and drop a like down below. Subscribe if you are new around here, and I'll be talking to you guys again soon.
Because if they do fail, there's a bit of room for maneuver afterwards to wipe out the error. That's a good penalty. These shootouts very testing. Is he going to be up to the task here? I'm not sure. They let him get away with that little stuttering run-up. Goal stands. And he's put it away. Doesn't look quite right as he steps up to take the penalty. Pushed away by the keeper. Well, up he steps. There's no hiding place. He looks apprehensive. Put the penalty away. And very confident he was. Well, the stutter was okay. Goal given. Body language isn't very good at the moment. And that's a brilliant goal. Well taken. Well, here he comes to try and keep his side in the shootout. Absolutely no margin for error for him. Oh, it's in there! If he scores, the game is won.